yes, people. Welcome to another episode of the Yes Girls podcast. We're coming at you from beautiful Nairobi, Kenya. And I'm Claire.
And I'm Akumu.
And together we are
the Yes Girls. We are two Nairobi-based wanderlusters who are making it our mission to say yes to doing, being, and learning something different every 2 weeks. And we document our journeys. So this podcast is a strange and interesting result of us saying yes to sometimes challenging, sometimes fun, sometimes entertaining, and sometimes downright outrageous experiences.
Yep. We say yes when sometimes we probably shouldn't. So you can decide if you want to try it out for yourself or not. I think you'll want to try this one, though.
I think this one is one that many people could easily get addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
It can become a bit of a cult or a movement or something that starts to form part of your identity.
Wait, are you talking about the Yes Girls? Identity
Perhaps.
cult?
But no. Although come to think of it, no. I'm talking about what we said yes to what we said yes to doing in this challenge or for this challenge. It was, or rather is, drum rolls, CrossFit.
So can I admit something?
Sure.
Before we started this challenge, right, on CrossFit, I didn't really know what CrossFit was, but I did know that it was cool and hard.
I wonder the cool part. Why the cool part?
It's cool. Like it's cool, right? Like, you know, like
Okay.
you get street cred. Like people look up to you.
Okay. So you want to know something? Me too. Okay, sort of. I'll explain that sort of a little later. But for now, maybe we give it a little of an intro for those who are listening and are slightly legally clueless.
Oh, you name dropping another podcast.
Had to. Anyway, so CrossFit is a workout methodology created by former gymnast Greg Glassman in 2001. And today, according to the CrossFit headquarters, yes, their headquarters, there are more than 15,000 CrossFit affiliates worldwide. And what does it involve, really? Well, you'll hear that later from someone special in this episode.
Right. So clearly, we were both pretty clueless going into this, but we have the next 40 or so minutes to find out if we finish the challenge any less clueless.
Any less weak, slow, lackadaisical, and lazy.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Clearly, I am.
Doing challenges are usually the physical ones. We get dirty, sweaty, or something along those lines, all for the love of trying new things and learning from the experts. And I'll tell you this, there was definitely a lot of sweat in this episode.
I can attest to that.
For season 4 of the Yes Girls, we are really zoning in on some essential 21st century, highly desirable, sometimes highly marketable, and definitely useful skills that are deliberately chosen to inspire, educate, and entertain the 21st century success story. We have an expert, and this episode we also turn to the future.
That's right. We turn to the Yes Girls and boys.
And everything in between.
Of the next generation, the kids. And we do this to see what they have to say about the topics we have selected specifically for this season. So you'll definitely be amazed. You could be, but you'll definitely be amazed. You will be amazed by what kids pick up on. I mean, they usually display optimism, the kind of optimism and curiosity that many of us, mature people, lose somewhere along the way in the quagmire of taxes, responsibilities, and trying to keep up with TikTok and Reels.
So for today's episode, we're lucky enough to have a very special expert in the studio with us. For a CrossFit challenge, we were lucky enough to be supported by FirstPower CrossFit, a gym in Nairobi, Karen, who offered us each an all-inclusive monthly pass to try our hands and legs and feet and shoulders and the rest of our bodies at CrossFit. So our expert for today is the almighty Tanya Alvis.
Hey.
So Tanya is a coach, a FirstPower CrossFit athlete, a badass superwoman, and now, to top it all off, a Yes Girls guest expert. Tanya, what have we missed in your intro there?
Certified chalk monster. Also, if you know, you know. Yeah, chalk is very important.
Chocolate, yeah?
No, chalk for CrossFit. It's what helps elevate your confidence, your performance. I put chalk on my hands even when I'm going for a run. It really helps me. It's like a little blankie that's what chalk is.
So you're talking about literal CHALK.
Yes.
On your hands?
Yes, the white stuff. Not that white stuff.
Use that for pole dancing, right?
You can use it for pole dancing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's muy importante.
Okay.
And are we right in saying that you recently qualified for something?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought it up.
Drum rolls.
Yeah. Doom, doom, doom. We qualified for our first international CrossFit competition. So there are 2 teams from FirstPower Fitness that are going to be going to Cairo this year in November. And yeah, this is really exciting. For so many of us who are on the team, it's a journey. Like, we've been in CrossFit for over 2 years, and like, this is the first competition for all of us. So yeah, just watch the space, and we're happy to share our journey with you guys as well. Thanks for everyone who's been supporting us.
We'll be cheering you on for sure. Maybe not in Cairo, but from the studio.
Yes.
I hope it will be live, maybe.
Yes, we will definitely share links.
Yes.
Yeah. So wherever you are, from the comfort of your homes, you'll be able to be like,
We'll be watching you
gele, gele.
sweat. We'll be
Yes.
eating chocolate and ice cream as you sweat.
Yes, honestly, somebody has to be eating those things because we won't.
Clearly.
This is, you're a strong ally. We appreciate you.
So before we dig into the WOD,
The what?
if you don't know what that means, all will be revealed in just a moment. So before we get into the WOD, we have to see what the Yes Kid for today's episode has to say about you know what. And by the way, FirstPower actually has CrossFit for kids, believe it or not. So Yes Kid, tell us what your expert opinion on CrossFit is.
I think CrossFit is something to make you stay healthy and looking good. CrossFit looks fun, but I do ballet to stay fit.
So yeah, we had a 2-for-1 there, 2 Yes Kids, each with slightly humorous perspective on cross-lick. Can we start practicing cross-lick? It sounds way more fun.
CrossFit.
Yeah, it's CrossFit for after hours.
Exactly. Start with a CrossFit.
Yeah, and then heads to cross-lick.
But do you, just a yes or no, do you agree with what Tristan said, the first Yes Kid there, about it being to feel like be healthy and look good? Would you agree? Is he onto something?
I think so. I think he's captured. For most people who join CrossFit, it's either one, either or, and for a lot of other people, it's both. So yeah, he's pretty much on the ball there.
Nice.
Hey, well done, Tristan and Celeste.
Good job. Yes, kids.
So, Kumu, I think I've been going first a lot recently, and I've also been working out a lot. So I'm pretty tired. So, can you please go first this time?
But I haven't warmed up yet. I might definitely pull a muscle.
If you have any left.
Yeah, exactly. So, 2 things. 1, burpees were invented by the devil himself. 2, lifting weights really has a way of lifting my spirits. That's it. That's my experience. Let's move on with the episode.
You're not
please.
getting out of it that easily.
Okay, psych. Okay, so let me start by clarifying what I meant at the start of the episode when I said I sort of was clueless. I sort of was, yeah? So clueless means zero info. I had some. Just not the good kind, kind of bad kind, I'd say. Anyway, you see, earlier this year, I was reading a book, nonfiction books, like I always do. And I think it was it was before we figured out that we were doing CrossFit this time. We had already had it in plan in previous seasons. But before we knew we were doing it, I was reading a book called Cultish by Amanda Montell. It's basically a book that explains why we are all more susceptible to joining cults than we think we are. So how does CrossFit come in? Well, just listen in. Here's exactly the description the book has in one of the review websites. And it goes like this, and I quote, "It might not seem like CrossFit, a popular high-intensity interval training workout, and Heaven's Gate, a cult that believed UFOs were heading to Earth on the tail of the Hale-Bopp comet, have any similarities. But as a linguist, Amanda Montell argues in Cultish that these are just 2 of the many groups that bind their members together by employing cultish language." So the book does not call CrossFit a cult. It just talks about how CrossFit uses the tools that other cults use to get people into the whole thing and feel like a community. Anyway, I'm making Tanya uncomfortable. I'm making everyone uncomfortable here. So that's how I came into this. Just feeling that, okay, CrossFit has some cultish elements. Anyway, Claire, don't stop shaking your head. Yeah, so I'll move on. That's the information I came into. And then we get into we get the membership from FirstPower, and then we start. So we had to go to an intro session, right? So that was a 6 a.m. thing. And those of you who know, I am not a morning person. I've tried to be a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. So that day, I actually woke up not very happy with myself. And I tried to cross Nairobi to go to the other side of town, and I used the wrong way. Yeah, so it was just a mess. Got there 45 minutes late. First intro session. Very bad on me. Yeah. So I kind of figured things out. I think we did two rounds of something. But now we had 3 more intro sessions. And then I figured, okay, I can't do morning anymore. So can we try and figure out, okay, I can, but I don't want to. So can we try and figure out how we can do 6 p.m.? So Claire, I think you talked to one of the coaches or something and asked for a class, intro class for 6 p.m. Because I think even did I go the next day? No, I went the next day at 6 p.m., but I lost those people who are with me at 6 p.m. So I think the next 2 days, or the rest of the intro classes, I was doing it alone, which was interesting. Kind of better. Anyway, so I have done weight training before. I did that last year with a personal trainer. Shout out to Anmweni. So getting into the intro sessions and all the practice of CrossFit was not really unique for me. The intensity was not new. The kinds of workouts kind of were, but I had done something of that sort, barbells and the weightlifting stuff. I had done a bit of that. So I was kind of at home. I think the only issue was burpees, like I said.
Tough, sweating, drinking water. Hardest part was the burpees, of course, because they were invented by the devil. Waiting for class 2 intro.
And the only difference with CrossFit is that, if you're with a personal trainer, you can look at them with puppy dog eyes and tell them, please, today, can we just not do burpees or, something. You can negotiate your way away from the hard stuff. So getting into CrossFit and having other people in class and having to, not let the others down, I think that was a very interesting experience for me. So doing hard things together. And I believe the fact that my ego kind of gets embarrassed if I'm the weak one in the class, that helps. So I like group classes only because of that. I mean, I think we were told not to look at each other and, oh, this is your journey. Please. We are still in a class and I still have to look at everyone else. Oh, how is she lifting that? Okay, let me try and, one-up them. So sometimes the ego kind of helps you do things better, or at least not let everyone down. Yeah, so that's the one thing I really like about CrossFit. Beyond the fact that I was lifting heavy things, I could use the fact that we have other people next to me to motivate myself. And the fact that it's done in groups most of the time is kind of like, let's conquer the world together. So I like that group mentality of it all. And then, day 1 was pretty okay. Same to day 2, because they were pretty much lifting things which I've been able to do. I think the worst was just, burpees. My legs are too long for that stuff. And running. I think they're 100-meter runs, you, right?
Claire's God's favorite, so
yeah.
Let us not give her side eye right now.
Claire was born running. I think she labor ward and she ran right after being born.
400-meter run.
Yes, I think that's what happened.
Ward.
Yeah, so those are the 2 things that I was not okay with. I think the other hard ones were, I'd say maybe, at the dumbbell, there was something called farmer's walk, right?
Yes, farmers carry.
Farmer's carry.
Yeah, with the
You're just
dumbbells.
holding like dumbbells that are not exactly comfortable weight, and you're walking, a long stretch with them just on the side. And that's mental stimulation because you have to really, I think that day I had to listen to the song and just take
Every
my mind
step.
off
Yeah.
my hands. Yeah, that was hard, but I still like the fact that, there are a lot of things in CrossFit that were beyond my, I would say beyond my,
Your comfort zone?
yes, beyond
Yeah.
the comfort zone. And that I enjoy. So that's another thing I enjoyed about CrossFit.
The highlight was the deadlift because I like deadlifts. And there's one where shoulder press, I think. Something like that. Yeah. Lifting the weight up, tapping the head a little forward, looking like, exactly how weightlifters do it. Feels good. Ready for day 3.
So I think those were basically my learnings. It was not hard, but I liked the times it was hard. And then I really did not have much to work with in terms of experience because after the 3, I think I did total 3-4 classes, including the intro, because life happened and there were things going on in my life at the time. So I actually did not even use the free membership as much as I wanted to. But I definitely want to continue with this cultish workout. Something like, once in 2 weeks or once, a month, just to challenge myself. Yeah, because it's useful to do, hard stuff every once in a while. So like I said, my favorite, I've said my worst workouts. My favorites were anything with dumbbells. Dumbbells is, not dumb. Yeah, anything with
Barbells.
dumbbells, anything with barbells, the long thing.
The lifting bar.
Yeah, and kettlebells.
Ooh,
Those things are just,
listen.
they're just so much fun.
We're gonna make a weightlifter out of you yet.
I know, right?
I mean, you've just been sleeping
I
on
like
us.
the perfect things.
Yeah, that plus powerlifting. Girl, okay, we'll talk about this after.
So if you can have CrossFit without burpees and running, we are good to go.
About
If
that,
you can customize
I don't
that.
know. I don't want to be the one to
That
tell
is-
you.
Yeah, don't burst.
But
your
it's
bubble.
okay. No, let's.
Maybe
just-
that's the cross link that the kid was talking about. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about burpees,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like a cross-leg type of activity.
Wow.
You might have to edit that one out.
Oh, that's going in. That's going
It
in
just
the
came to me,
intro.
guys. Haha.
Anyway, yeah, that's if CrossFit can happen without those things, yes. But it's something I totally would keep doing, and I totally recommend to anyone who is already doing anything intense in terms of workout. And FirstPower is such an amazing community, and we were honored to be invited in so warmly.
So, it's no secret that I do love a bit of fitness in my life. I run a lot, as we've already established. I gym a bit. I pole dance a fairly decent amount, and I love nothing more than being active. It makes me feel good, it keeps me healthy, and it allows me to eat all the cake and cheese that my heart desires without having to expand my doorways. Yet. Okay, that's a bit tongue-in-cheek. But it is also true. But I've always been pretty active, right? I think it stems from the fact that as a child, I lived at the bottom of a big hill. So every day started with walking up a big hill to get anywhere. And I had to run to keep out with my dad, who has famously long legs, especially compared to a little girl. And the only other choice was paying the bus fare to the top of the hill. But as we know, I will not spend money if I don't have to. So going into this challenge, I was excited to learn a new sport/exercise and see what more my body is capable of. I also admitted at the top of this episode that I wasn't really sure what CrossFit was. So I just knew that I thought rather, that you had to be strong and you had to go to one of only a handful of gyms in Nairobi that offer the true CrossFit experience. So in that case, I'm kind of right. So FirstPower is an official box. So that's the term for a CrossFit gym, like an affiliate, right?
Yep.
So it's an official affiliate. So I showed up Monday morning, not to rub it in, but I showed up a few minutes to 6 a.m.
Rubbed in properly.
Yeah. So
I can feel the burn
did
from
I show
here.
up at 6:45 a.m.? Oh no, 6 before 6 a.m. But actually, it was because I thought that they'd make me do like extra push-ups or something if I was late, and I wasn't going to risk that.
You're right. It would be burpees.
There
But
you
you're
go.
right.
Exactly. So FirstPower is kind of, or in general, most CrossFit boxes, I've been led to believe, are like huge airport hangar style spaces with all the mod cons that you find in a CrossFit gym. And so at FirstPower specifically, everything still looks new, but also comfortable. I think it's the style of weights they have. They're nice. Like they're kind of solid, but kind of rubber. Like they feel like you're not going to hurt
Used,
yourself.
yeah, as well. Like
Used,
that
but they
nice-
still look nice.
yeah,
They
nice.
still look new, newish, or they still look kind of clean, let's call it. So the weights are neatly stacked. There's rowing machines lined up by the open sides. And yes, they're open to the elements. There's no doors or windows on that side, which is cool again. There's frames for pull-ups and gymnastics. But there's one very noticeable absence. Akumu, did you notice?
Yes, I did.
What was there none of in this gym?
Mirrors.
No mirrors, exactly. So at first I found this odd, but I think I figured out why, I think, later on. And we'll get into that. But yeah, I appreciated it, but I found it weird to begin with because you can't self-correct your form, right? From looking at yourself.
yeah.
You have to feel it. You have to feel yourself. So week 1, as Akumu said, was just the intro week. So to avoid you getting injured or lost or zoning out during class, the coaches take you through the basics that form most CrossFit movements. So there's sit-ups, how to use a barbell, snatches, clean and jerks, ski ergs. Guys,
Yeah,
don't worry.
crazy names.
80% of these words and movements were completely new to me.
You're doing so well. I'm so proud.
Thank you. I learned well.
I didn't mention even one of the fancy words. Claire remembered all of them.
I noted them down. Yeah. Also, because most of them sound a little bit rude. Let's face it. Like, let me see your snatch. I'm sorry, what? Anyway,
I didn't even think about that all this time.
Really?
Are you happy with yourself?
There's
Claire?
something jack. What
I've
was the other
ruined
jack
this-
you said?
clean and jerk.
Yeah, it sounds weird.
Are you a clean and jerk?
That's guys.
They
you're
just
ruining
sound
this
rude.
for me now.
I'm sorry.
You've never thought about it?
I'd never, especially the snatch bit. Damn,
There you go. I've ruined
Damn.
I've ruined CrossFit, but for a CrossFit expert.
ruined. It's a bit too strong a word. Maybe you've given it the added bit of spice.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
Why do you think
Found
it
a
was in
novelty.
cultish book? They have like cultish words.
That's not cultish. That's just fun.
It's like secret words for things.
So anyway, with all of these intro terms and movements, I knew I would struggle, but I was excited. And here's a little clip of Coach Collins on day 1.
Hi, Collins Mande is my name, head coach at FirstPower Fitness. With CrossFit, when you guys come here, what first need to expect is fun. We usually have fun in our workouts. But now with functional fitness, we do a lot of fitness disciplines from strength to conditioning, endurance, speed training. The beauty about CrossFit is that all these movements are modified based on someone's fitness ability. So with CrossFit, we are able to start with you where you're at. Whether you're a beginner in fitness, you've never done anything before, you've been doing a different kind of sport and you want to try a CrossFit, we will be able to find a place for you to fit and then progress with you from there.
I was pretty confident after this first week, as I actually ended each session with still plenty of energy, no soreness, and I even went for a run after the sessions or packed in a few minutes on the rowing machine to feel like I'd done a full workout, mostly because I'm used to doing more cardio, and also because these intro sessions, I realized they were just the introduction. Then
Just the
things
tip.
got serious, yeah. So over the 4 weeks that we went, I averaged 3 sessions a week. And I was pretty dedicated, usually coming for the 6 a.m. or 7:15 a.m. session. 5 a.m. was just too much of a stretch. Those guys are too hardcore, too cool. And I sometimes went for a short and slow run before or after, but mostly because I didn't want to neglect my weekday running habit completely or I'd kind of fall off the wagon. And also it does actually help to shake out the muscles after a hard workout, if you enjoy running. So
Big.
Thank you for the
on
if.
that
Yeah,
note,
big if.
On the-
Asterisk.
on that
bold.
note, what did I find were my strengths? I think we can guess one of them. Whereas almost
do
everyone
tell.
else.
This is my non-surprised face
Oh
for the
my
Can you
record.
guess it?
Do tell.
What was my strength? Funny enough, something that almost not just the two people here, but most people at that gym hate, dread, and where possible avoid running.
By all means necessary.
Like we were told, okay, you're going to run 800 meters. I'm like, that's it. Everyone else is saying no.
And it's because
800 meters.
anyone who runs every day doesn't
on.
need any other workout, right? So they'll never do other stuff. So it's hard
Yeah.
to find runners in
Well,
a place like that.
They do, but they're the opposite. A very keen runner will realize after a while of running that you do need to do some
And
cross
incorporate,
training,
a
some
bit of
strength
it.
training to
Yeah.
avoid injury and to be a better runner.
But they wouldn't be regulars, would they?
Some of them would, but
okay.
some aren't,
Yeah,
and that's where they get injuries.
There are some members who actually are like awesome runners. They really enjoy it. But it's like what you said. And that's why I was like, we started the anti-running group. It's just getting over that mental, because it's a very mental thing. Like,
It
because
is.
if you don't run, then it ends up being the hardest thing
Yeah.
you'll ever do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they can like squat 100 kilos or snatch their body weight, right? Yeah. So I think that, but that also plays into
Yeah.
exactly what CrossFit is about. It's just like the mental battle with so many
Yes.
different things.
And whatever you practice most is what you'll get better at, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm a
true.
good runner, or I'm a semi-decent runner because I do it a lot. Whereas someone who goes to the gym regularly, you can't do everything. If you go to the gym 5 days a week, you can't be running 50, 60 kilometers a week unless you
Yeah.
wake up at 4 a.m., don't have kids and don't have a job, maybe.
Yeah,
Some
that's
people
true.
do it.
You're a professional
Some people
athlete,
do. Yeah.
essentially.
The marathon runner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you're dedicated to it. And funny story, I did once post the WOD, so the workout of the day, on the FirstPower WhatsApp group, and Tanya knows as well. And I was told that it was a social faux pas
Gang,
because
gang.
if people see it's a running workout ahead of time, they just won't show up, right?
Or burpees.
people will do burpees actually. But yeah, running, suddenly it's like, oh, my ankle is still sore from yesterday. Can't come.
Exactly.
Me, honestly, imagine I'd rather run than burpees. Like burpees is
Really?
number one, yes.
I think for me, it's like once you find a pace, and that's the other thing, people can't make me do them fast, but like you just kind of do the step back, because I do modified versions of the burpees, then it's not so bad. But I also realize that, and if it makes you feel better, there's even elite athletes, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing CrossFit for, burpees don't get easier. They still are hard as
Yeah.
hell, always. Like, yeah, and you can speak to anybody. So it's just a universal thing that binds us together as part of a community.
And you mentioned something important there, doing a modified version. I think that's a great thing about what I found for CrossFit is that there's different options. You can do the hardcore, they call it RX, right?
Yes, yes.
Then there's scaled versions. You can lift less weight or do
Less
like
reps.
non-jumping burpees, do fewer reps. Exactly. So I really like that it is adapted to everyone. If you're just starting out on your journey, or if you're older or weaker, or you have any sort of
Injuries,
impairment or an injury.
disabilities,
Exactly.
or differently abled, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, in my other strengths, I think my pole dancing definitely helped when it came to things like rope climbs or lifting my body weight in any way, like ring dips where you've got the 2 wooden rings that kind of hang by your side and you lift yourself up on them.
The hanging circles.
So
The
hard.
hanging circles.
So hard.
That hanging circles is not the technical term for them, but yes, it's not an easy
I
move. But
created
I felt like I could go quicker. I progressed more easily with that move than maybe another beginner, simply because of my pole dancing practice. So yeah, I think that was a strong start on
push-ups.
those.
How's push-ups for you?
Not great at push-ups.
Why? It's body
Yeah.
weight, no?
It is, but it's I don't know. Okay, maybe compared to an absolute beginner, I'm not too bad, but I think it's my technique that fails me there. And that brings me on to my weaknesses, which were weights. I'm not a weightlifter. I'm strong for like a runner, I guess, but I'm not weightlifter strong. And when it comes to like lifting a barbell above your head and squatting, just no. No. My body hears that combination and it goes and shuts down.
Which is a problem, the squat or the lift?
Or both.
It's combining them. I can squat, but then lifting anything above my head, I struggle with. I felt like, imagine like a cartoon stick man who's like just a stick and he's trying to lift this huge weight and he gets it kind of up to his like almost chest level and then it just goes and then it drops, right? I was like that. It was even with tiny little saucer, like teacup saucers. The weights were that size, and everyone else has got these weights the size of truck tires, lifting it, and I'm there like, just no, it's not happening. Anyway, but I did deliberately work on those weaknesses, and if I saw that there was a workout that day that targeted that, I would show up deliberately to work on that. Because if you don't work on your weaknesses, how do you learn new things? You won't make any progress, right?
So you're the kind of person who'd rather see what's coming.
I would rather see what's coming, yeah. So I know what to prepare for, especially if I know I've got a long run the next day. I'm not going to come for something that will make me really sore, for example. I do have to kind of prepare. So at FirstPower, I really loved how the coaches were attentive to each individual's improvement whilst not being overbearing, right? They're not looking over you saying, give me more, lift heavier. No. Even when we're sometimes just 2 in a class, or even if we were 10, you feel like you're getting individual attention. They'll tell you how to improve, show you how to improve your form, but you're also being G'd on by the rest of the group and encouraged. And everyone's a complete mix of abilities. And some days I felt like I was the best in the class, and sometimes I felt like I was the baby sister that was clueless, but everyone was still looking out for me, but also kind of, they're in their own, it's kind of like you do you, I'll do me, but I'm rooting for you, right? I'm not going to interfere with you.
Yeah.
So I was sad when the month came to an end. I actually wanted more. I wanted to see how much more I could improve. I'd say 1 month was enough to get a taste of the main types of workout, but not to really perfect, right, the snatch or progress to the big girl weights.
Yeah.
I think you need to, you can constantly improve, and that's the great thing. And because it's so varied, you can, you can go a few weeks without doing one certain move and think, oh, wow, yeah, I've forgotten that I needed to do this and that. But there's still time, though, and I think I still have energy to learn more. So I'll be back.
All right. So 2 very different experiences and 2 very different bodies and hobbies and 1 expert. We want to hear how Tanya thinks we did, and based on her and other coaches' observations, we need a ratings.
Dun, 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 moment of truth. So I think I was able to catch Claire on some of her classes, but I don't think that I managed to see you, Akomo.
I think I only met you when you were leaving.
Yes.
At 6, because you were leaving
at because I normally
6,
do
right?
the evening classes. But just from what I've been hearing about your different experiences, and I guess the couple of interactions that I've had with Claire on the floor, actually I'm going to give you guys a 5 out of 5. I know that that's a super high rating, but it really feels like you guys have understood what CrossFit is about. I think, Akomo, when you're talking about weightlifting and how good that made you feel, lifting those weights, lifting your spirits, it sounds like you were ending up feeling really strong at the end of those classes. And yeah, I think for so many people, strong body is strong mind. And that's one of the big things in terms of CrossFit. It's really mental, and really building up your mental tenacity to dealing with different challenges that come across in your life, be it emotional, physical, professional. And Claire, as well, for you, you were talking about on the days that you saw wards that didn't necessarily have your strengths, you still showed up. And that's a very big part of CrossFit. It's just showing up, doing your best, hard work. It's why there's no mirrors in CrossFit gyms, because the main focus is not about the aesthetics or the vanity of it or whatever, because you find a lot of that in the fitness industry, depending on the sport that you're in.
Yeah.
But it's about coming to class, or if you're doing weightlifting or powerlifting or whatever, and just doing the work and focusing on that. And a lot of people who do CrossFit, when you hear and you chat to people after class, everybody has a very personal, individual journey, and that's what it is. They're coming to class, whatever that goal is for them on that day, or whatever their main goal is, it's just showing up, doing the work. And it sounds like, yeah, you guys definitely understood that. So yeah, love to hear it.
Thank you.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, high five that.
High five.
Snaps for that.
Hey, yeah.
High 5.
Air high five.
Done. We should finish the Yes Girls forever.
No, don't say that. I lied. 4 out of 5.
End on a high.
Don't go lower than that, please.
Now, Tanya, as yourself a CrossFit coach and athlete, we've already established you've made it through to some pretty big competitions. So
Exciting.
you are up there, and that means you've already been through a long journey, a very
Yeah.
personal journey of learning how to wake up early sometimes, although you're more of an evening
Yeah,
workout.
me and Akumu are the same. It's for the same people.
The same person.
Yeah, also you showed up for 6 a.m. Another reason why you get 5 out of 5 automatically by default.
I was late. So it-
6:40.
Still, 6:40 is still 6 is still in the front of that.
something.
Yeah.
still in 6.
That's why, actually, low-key, that's why you got 5 out of 5.
That's mental
Unfairness
strength.
of
That
it.
is mental tenacity at its best. Getting out of bed, wherever you come from, girl. Yeah.
And speaking of mental tenacity, of course, you've managed both the physical, like sore muscles, you've worked on your weaknesses, you've overcome a lot of like barriers that you could have had, right? To going and, I mean, everyone just getting through the door, getting out of bed or
Yeah.
getting out of the house, right? So for those who are out there who are even less knowledgeable than us, where, how, and why can or should they start their own CrossFit journey? And maybe tell us a bit about your journey.
Awesome. And I'm so glad that you asked this. I think the first thing that I would encourage people to do is to say yes. To show, just walk through that door. So
You're in the
first-
Yes Girls podcast. Good
Yeah.
John. Good one.
Yeah, you never told me to say that.
Yeah. We didn't
no,
pay
not
her.
at all, guys. We didn't. But yeah, so I remember when I went, like my first day, and when I signed up at FirstPower Fitness, I had really not been happy, like with my life. I was struggling with heartbreak, and it felt like I was not strong enough, like physically strong enough to deal with the emotional stuff that I was going through. And I was like, what I can see from CrossFit is people are strong from social media posts and everything. And I was like, this is what I need. Like, I have to get strong to be able to deal with what I was going through. And a lot of people like have very similar stories, funny enough, or like mental health journeys. And CrossFit has really helped them like overcome stuff like anxiety, depression, things like that. So the first thing I would say is just like walk through that door, like come to FirstPower Fitness and speak to anybody. It could be the, Val at reception. It could be one of the coaches, Collins, Bonnie, or even some of the members, and just like ask us like, what is this about? And I think that first conversation, you will find like the thing that I'm always grateful to CrossFit is that it gave me the taste of being the person I've always dreamed of. Like, I don't know if you've ever kind of like had a vision of yourself and like you see yourself as this fierce person who's just killing it across everything, you're from your style to work to just like how you feel about yourself, that confidence. And that's what CrossFit gave me. And that's why I would encourage anybody, like if there's a vision of yourself, a person, a type of version of yourself that you want to be, CrossFit really can be the thing that helps you get there. And it's not because CrossFit is going to give you, a 6-pack or a fat booty, because it took my booty away. Still bitter about that. But it's the confidence, it's the like strength, the fitness, like feeling so good in your body. Like I'm the fittest I've ever been, and this is including high school, and I used to play sports and stuff. And I think that's the greatest gift you can give yourself, whether you're a guy or a girl. If you're a parent, like you want to give your child, your teenager, like those skills, that confidence as they start to navigate a very like rocky part of their lives. So yeah, just come through the door, have a conversation, and just show up. Just like what you guys did with your intro classes and all the other classes that you were able to do. Because some days like you go in and you really like kick ass at that WOD and you're like, like, kind of Hulk Hogan, and you want to like tear your shirt out and, like, and other days it's like, man, that WOD kicked my ass. But the most important thing is like you showed up, you did what you could. And I think that is a lesson that translates in life. Every day, we don't know. There's so many unknowns. There's so many things beyond our control. All we can do is show up. And I think for me, like that's the bigger picture about like, what CrossFit, the role that CrossFit plays in our community. Like it's just giving us those skills that which is really hard to sometimes surrender things beyond your control. But yeah, like when you go to CrossFit, you don't know the workout. You don't know if you're going to run 5 miles or 200 meters or lift 50 kgs or 5, but you just show up and take it as it is. So yeah.
And I think even if the word is terrible, like overall, there's always 2-3 ones that you really love.
Yeah.
There's always, you can never hate all of them, all the
And
workouts.
you surprise yourself because sometimes, like, I'm sure going in, you might think, okay, I'm only going to use the 5 kg dumbbells. Then you go into like the third round and you're like, I want to upgrade to the 7.5s. And then you're like, damn, I did like 3 rounds with that. And you didn't think that you could. For me, it was like, I ran 5K for the first time in my life, like 2 months ago. That was the day, like, yeah, I think Claire, you were on the WhatsApp group about that. And I was like, I didn't know I got it in me. What? So yeah, you'd be surprised. Like, there's so much stuff that you could do, and that's, yeah, CrossFit gets you out of that comfort zone. It challenges you, and you just have to be open to it and say yes.
Okay.
And no matter what the WOD is, from my experience, even if you are terrible according to what you were aiming for, you feel good. You always feel better than you did when
Yeah.
you started. No matter how terrible or tired you were feeling, I always felt refreshed and ready for the day afterwards. I'm ready for breakfast, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, breakfast. Yeah, it sounds weird because I
Yeah.
used to go in the evening, so I'm just like breakfast. Oh, okay. So what is special about CrossFit compared to other sports, other workouts,
I definitely
apart from what you've said? I
Oh
think.
yeah. So I think I would speak more about community, but more broadly. Claire and I were having a discussion. Like, it doesn't matter which box you go to. So I was in South Africa for work, for example. There's so many boxes there. Community is at the center of CrossFit, and so even if you're a newbie, you'll still be welcomed, and you'll still kind of get that feeling of like being held, even though you're all suffering. And also, yeah, I think there's something about you all dying during burpees that kind of brings you together. So as much as it's not the best, like, and also I've been to other boxes where, yeah, like people are kind of struggling, or maybe you're the last person to finish, and people will join in and do those last burpees with you just to kind of get you over the hump.
Oh wow.
And like, that's something that I've seen everywhere. I also think that what makes CrossFit special is its inclusivity. So if you look at the CrossFit Games, which is like, it happens at the big, like earlier on in the year, every year, there's like a masters, element to it. There's people who with disabilities. There's like CrossFit for kids, like teens. And this is like up, from box level up until like the elite sport in terms of competition. And I think that's so important. For so many people, like we have quite a few like I would say older members of the FirstPower community who are like over 70. In many places, like people start to scale down, fitness for people who are older. But for CrossFit, like they're able to program so that people, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter whether you're disabled, like you can still try to get as fit as possible. And the idea behind CrossFit is, even with the movements that we focus on, is about like ensuring that people can be as independent for as long as possible.
So what's next for you, Tanya, in your CrossFit journey?
Okay, it's a secret. You can't tell anybody.
Yeah, no one's listening. We're not recording.
This is a safe space. I think for me, I really want to try and use this maybe the next 2 years to kind of like coach more and really just kind of share the impact of that CrossFit could have. I think just because of my own personal journey, there's so many people I think who are struggling with self-esteem and confidence, and this is both men, women, kids. And if I could kind of like help them along with that journey, it would be like really amazing. And I think more specifically as well, like try to help or like focus on kids as well. And just like, help the next generation of CrossFitters. There's so many opportunities as well that exist within CrossFit in terms of a sport. Some of like, there's so much money in terms of like it being your like vocation. And I think this is something that is quite new in Kenya as well. Like, obviously we've got Olympics, and like athletics has been kind of like one of the big things. Obviously we've grown up knowing that it's a way of you kind of making yourself known and also earning a lot of money. But there's a lot of opportunities in sports in Kenya, and like in terms of talent. And it's like, what role can we play to actually help people monetize and get a platform onto the international stage? And the CrossFit Open, for example, like if somebody ends up being like top 5 or top 3 on the Kenya leaderboard, they get invited to South Africa. If you manage to get to South Africa, there's so many different sponsors, there's so many other boxes that could kind of take you on. And the next thing, you're going to be in the US, and we're going to like, you're going to be competing with the best of the best. So if I could have or like play a role in that, that would be really exciting.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for being with us and for the ratings.
You're welcome. You did the hard work. I was just here as an onlooker.
Want to know the easiest way to be a yes boy or girl right now? In just a few minutes. It's an easy do, be, learn approach. Let's start with do. And you can do that by simply subscribing to the podcast, whether you're listening on AfriPod, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, anywhere else you listen to good podcasts. All you need to do is click, subscribe, or follow. That way you won't miss the next episode and you'll help more people discover the show.
And for the be, this one's easy. Be a sharer. If you had anything that's inspired you or you just want to share this podcast with someone else, be a sharer. Just do that on your social media.
And finally, for the learn, what's your biggest takeaway from this episode, the season, or the entire podcast? Don't keep it to yourself. Spread that learning, share it with others by leaving us a rating on Spotify or a review and just a couple of sentences right on the platform where you're listening to us from. So that's the do, be, learn approach you can say yes to in just a couple of minutes after we're done here.
If you don't already follow us, that's at Yes Girls Podcast altogether. And if you want to tag each one of us, Akumu, I'm at Akumu Fiona together. And Claire is at Half Baked Claire. And Tanya is at
Mother of Dragons with an ES.
Nice.
Dragones.
Mother
love
of
it.
Dragones.
And FirstPower is
At
think
first, I think yeah, this
First-
FirstPower
FirstPower
Fitness.
Fitness.
Yeah.
FirstPower Fitness. Okay.
And you can stalk us and find behind the scenes footage, resources, and images of what we get up to and what we got up to at FirstPower when doing CrossFit or when being or learning any of our challenges. And you can also slide into our DMs or comment on what you like, what you want more of, what we should say yes to, or how you might want to get involved through sponsorship or collaborations. That's at Yes Girls Podcast. Ten push-ups for Sompisha Productions out of Snowball Studios, along with Ernest and Rioba, who produced this episode. Sam Kagwara of Eterno Concepts, who did our amazing logo design. Show me your clean and jerk. No, I'm not calling you a jerk. And a 400-meter run towards Ped O'Brien, who composed our theme song. And 1, 2, 3, give me a big deadlift for Tristan and Celeste, our yes kids for this episode. And then 100 burpees for Tanya Alvis, our expert for this episode.
Yay. I love
Along
those burpees.
Give us
Looking
200
at you,
burpees.
Akumu.
No, no.
Let's go.
No, thanks. you,
Pass.
You don't have to. No, thanks.
And also an extra little burpee or an extra few burpees for all the wonderful coaches at FirstPower. There's Lauren, Bryant, Collins, Bonnie, Chris, Will, Rutivi. You all made us work hard, sweat buckets, and do ourselves proud.
And shout out to you, FirstPower, for the membership that you gave us for this
Yes.
episode. And to you, our most important people, really, because you are the yes girls and boys and everything in between who are listening to us. Thank you for being there and for making this worth it. I will do one burpee for you guys. One.
Wow, the love is real.
And that brings us to the end of another episode. And we are halfway through season 4. So that means there's still one more learning, one more doing, and one more being challenge left. And they are big, huge. They're fun, and they're very, very on trend.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to miss them.
But in the meantime, take a bit of a break and try and guess what our next episode might be about, however cryptic this clue may be.
That's enough. Too many clues. That's just
They won't get it.
that's just too many clues.
No.
Too many. We'll see you next time. For now, that's it from me, Akumu.
And me, Claire, and together we are
The Yes Girls!
Yeah.
With Tanya here. Okay, workout sound weird.
Listen,
No,
that's
don't
part
do
of the
that.
joy. It's just grunting, being
That's
able
like
to
cross licking. That's not cross.
Cut.
Licking.